Oh, hang on. This mic isn't working properly. You guys have to share that mic. Yeah. So just move closer to each other. You've got to be loving today. But we've increased the sensitivity, so just raise your voice and speak in the direction of the mic, and you can twirl it like this.
All right. Studio is live. Mics are up. Lagos, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us in this segment where we'll talk about sports and everything in between, all the details and sport news here on Locker Room 981. And it's on Smooth 98.1, Smooth Breakfast with Folu.
And with Valentine, and joining us in the studio this morning, we have Tega Onojaife.
Good morning.
Excellent. And we've also got the bald, shiny-headed one himself, Brutalist. Excellent. And we've also got the bald, shiny-headed one himself, Brutalistics.
The t-shirt with a lot of hair on it.
Yes, we like the
Morning.
irony. We see it.
That's good compensation.
Lagos, the rest of the world, join us in conversation this morning. Just send us a WhatsApp message to our WhatsApp number, which is 0809 444 0981, or tweet at us, use the hashtag LockerRoom981. And don't forget that we are streaming live on YouTube, so go to youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos.
So, African Women Cup of Nations defending champions Super Falcons have arrived in Cape Coast, Ghana, where they will tackle South Africa's Bayana Bayana in Sunday's opening game of the 2018 AWCON. So, speaking of their chances, former youth internationals Chinwendu Ihezua expressed her readiness to help the team to a successful defense of the title they won in Cameroon. In her words, and I quote, "I'm looking forward to performing better in the national team and showing the stuff I'm made of. As a striker, what matters is to score, and that was my prayer before the game."
Yeah, and hopefully your prayer will be answered at the end of the game. But I think the first game is Bayana Bayana. Okay. I like this Bafana Bayana weekend. It's just a lot of South Africa all over the place. But yeah, they start their first match is on Sunday. This time they arrived in their formal outfits. They didn't look like Sunday. They are well dressed. Took a lot of pictures for people like Tega. Sent it to people like Tega, just so that you know. For the first time, I got the news in my email.
Well done.
Yeah, just to show me that they've taken the uniforms.
They sent it to you directly. Just before you come on air.
Just so you know that the Nigerians have arrived. Here are some pictures you can use in your
analysis.
Anyway, but they did arrive in their uniforms. They seem to be feeling better, feeling good about the team. The players are in high spirits. So the coach is talking up. So let's see how this weekend turns out to be. Other teams have also been preparing, but I just want to see if the gap is really completely closed between Nigeria and the rest of Africa. Now, I know that the under-17, the gap closed because we didn't qualify. It was South Africa, Cameroon, and Ghana, and that qualified. So they are the ones representing Africa. Let's see if Nigeria will qualify for the 2019 World Cup. If you ask me, I'm taking it for granted that it's Super Falcons, so they'll win. That's what it is. I'm just taking it for granted that it's women, so they'll win. And I hope that I don't come back disappointed.
Okay.
Hope lives. Anyways, the Bafana squad is shaping up well ahead of their 2019 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Nigeria on Saturday. Coach Stuart Baxter was more than happy following Wednesday's practice game at Stein City School, in which he tried what might be his preferred starting 11. He said, "I have an idea of what I need to do, although there might be one or two changes, and I also need to fine-tune a few areas ahead of Saturday's game." But he said, "I must say that I was very happy with the training today." Meanwhile, Super Eagles coach Rohr said that he would want to qualify with a match to spare. Nigeria are scheduled to arrive in SA on Friday morning.
Yeah, well, they're already there. So we've seen a few pictures to show that they've arrived in South Africa. So they've had Johnny Mercy's. Good news for them. They play at Saturday at 3 p.m.
Yes, 3 p.m. South African time. I think that's about 4 our time.
Okay. Okay, so I guess and then the team is ready. Hopefully, our goalkeeper, well, the Super Eagles goalkeeper, Uzoho is injured, so we are using makeshift on the day. Let's see how that turns out. We're also missing a few players. Shio Abdullahi,
Odio
Igalo, Wilfred Ndidi is suspended.
So it'll be interesting to see how he handles his midfield, particularly since he actually called up just three midfielders for this game. And it's a bit weird considering how a lot of the strength of the South Africans in the first game they played was the individual skills and maybe to an extent the lack of discipline we had in the midfield and the entire team when we're pushing for an equalizer. That said, I think both teams have a rough idea of how they want to play. Of course, General Rohr is right. He would like to qualify with a match to spare. I mean, if you have that luxury, who wouldn't take it? But for me, it's really down to how he organizes his team to play that game. There needs to be a lot of discipline, maybe not too much adventurism since they have the advantage of having gotten two really favorable results against Libya back-to-back. It will be interesting to see how the back line, the back four adjusts to whoever comes in as the substitute goalkeeper. There's this thing about having played together for a while, that familiarity and understanding how you play, and the chemistry of that impacts on the rest of the team. So the choice of who's going to be the starter for that game as a goalkeeper is probably going to cascade some sort of effect around across the team. All in all, we're hopeful that we have a good result, and it'd be nice to make the South Africans grossly unhappy at home.
We have all this hope, so much hope everywhere.
Yeah.
Hope for this.
Yes.
Trading hopes. All right, so five-time world champion Lewis Hamilton has clarified comments he made about India being a poor place. He
Knucklehead.
tweeted on Thursday, and I quote, "I noticed some people are upset with my comments on India. My reference was that a Grand Prix there felt strange to drive past homeless people, then arrive in a huge arena where money was not an issue. They spent hundreds of millions on a track that was now never used, and that money could have been spent on schools and homes. When we did have the race, nobody came because it was too expensive or there was no interest."
Okay, let me educate you. When you did have the race, nobody came because it wasn't cricket. So don't fool yourself that they didn't have the money. They're like, we don't know what people driving around in cars are like. We can't be watching that. But he did make a comment because of the new race that has been added. The Vietnam Grand Prix has been added. So he was saying that he doesn't like when they take F1 to poor places. So he called India the 6th largest economy in the world, one of the fastest growing economies in the past few years. Poor place. So you can imagine how the Indians came out.
They were not.
They were not. In fact, when I saw it, I just said, "Well, why last this guy read up on India?" I mean, you shouldn't be saying that kind of thing about India. That's a very big, thriving economy. And understand what he meant. I mean, he was trying to say that there was a disparity between the rich and the poor. So there's the very rich and the very poor, but that's basically everywhere. I don't know what he was talking about. The guy goes to LA all the time. There are homeless people there too. You drive right past them in your nice cars. You don't think about it. So I think next time before he speaks up about anything, he's going to, well, I'm not sure he's going to research, but I'm sure he's going to tweet with a lot of consideration next time, because that was not a very bright move. Can't be that ignorant.
No.
All right. Well, let's keep it moving. We got this next story very quickly. So, 6-time champion Roger Federer beat Kevin Anderson 6-4, 6-3 to secure his place in the semi-finals of the ATP Finals for the 15th time. Federer said, "These round-robin formats are not straightforward. We're used to it being you lose, you leave, you don't hang around. So maybe it was difficult for Kevin having qualified, whereas with TM winning, it was maybe easier for me. But I am happy, I'm still alive, and I hope I can play a good match the day after tomorrow."
Yeah, that was good news. And sad for Chimaobi Victor. Sorry, Roger's qualified. But what it was is that he didn't only win his match, he actually topped his group from losing on the first day and being bottom of the group as at the time the game started yesterday. He ends up topping the group. It was, I would say it was a flawless performance. There's still a few things that needed to be dialed in. But that forehand was certainly working on the day. It was not as careless and as wild as has been in a few past matches. So Roger had that under his belt, and also he did mention that the fact that Kevin Anderson had already qualified for the semi-final may have affected him psychologically, but it didn't seem that way, especially in the first set where Roger broke Anderson and then Anderson broke Roger back. And then Roger had to break again in order to win. So those were key things. But I think he's looking good. But all in all, if you ask me about the top 8 and the performances so far, who do I think is still favorite to take this? Still looks like Novak Djokovic. Yeah, he has the cleanest of the games.
All right, so talking about clean games, we'll be back clean and easy on Locker Room 91. You're listening to Smooth 98.1. Sending your messages to our WhatsApp number. It's 0809 444 0981.
Oh, I heard this guy has been pissed at everybody. Like, it's not just this Russian problem. That the fact that there's one lot. So, and there's rumors that a lot of people are leaving.
Yes.
Even including the Kelly.
Kelly and Conway.
No, Kelly. John
Oh,
Kelly.
John Kelly. Ah.
Yeah. There are rumors that he may be leaving. It's not funny. As in, she looks like she just came out of a picture that was drawn. Perfect hair, perfect eyes, perfect lips. Yep, she does look picture perfect.
This promotion will last till the 19th of December. So for more info, check the promotions page on www.betbigger.com. That's www.betbigger.com.
Florida is. Gillam should have just stayed. Yeah, Gillam could have just stayed. Really, Rick Scott should have. They should have just given this thing to Rick Scott. This is wickedness in Florida. I hate it. And at the end of the day, he's going to win, and then he's going to brag some more. That's just sad. He's going to win. So Gillam should have just stayed conceding.
No, but Gillam is not the one running for. He ran for governor, and the Gillam was the governor guy. This is I can't remember the name of the guy who is running for Florida Senate seat for the Democrats, but it's not Gillam. Gillam ran for governor.
No, it's Rick Scott, not governor.
No, he's the outgoing governor running for Senate.
Oh, okay, that's why I'm confused.
Rick
I
Scott
thought he was governor running
he's
for his
finished
seat.
term, he's running for Senate.
Oh, okay.
So he's running against, I think, a Democratic incumbent or something.
No. I thought
Gillam
Rick
is the
Scott was the governor running
Democratic guy who ran against some Santi or something.
DeSantis.
Yeah, DeSantis. So DeSantis won governor.
Rick Scott is leaving.
Yes.
Oh, I thought because Rick Scott was governor, I just assumed that he was running for his seat.
Oh, no. He's running for the Senate seat.
Oh, okay.
In their lives. People tell me stories without ever saying a word.
Well, that's confusing.
Because a single picture transcends a million words.
But I think Rick Scott is winning. So I think they can
Back, did you miss me?
Not really. Just wanted to go and hang out with Lewis Hamilton a bit. So slap him on the back of his head. What you see? Tell him to read a book or Google something.
He's just off speaking.
Okay,
Not everyone is supposed to be a public speaker.
No, sometimes he'll ask you these questions. Just say, you can't be a jerk like Katie and say, don't ask me that again. I kid you not. He literally told the reporter, don't ask me that again. But you can just say, I will think about it.
Studio. And we're in here talking sports inside the locker room. Make sure you send your messages through to WhatsApp 0809 444 981.
Yes, we are excited for those messages, and you can tweet at us as well. Make sure you use the hashtag LockerRoom981. And if you would like to comment on the live stream because you see our gorgeous faces up there, then do that as well. We'll be more than happy to read out your messages over the airwaves. So we've got this next story. Spain boss Luis Enrique was left to rue and I quote, undeserved defeat. 3-2 defeat to Croatia in Zagreb as the hosts set up a Nations League decider with England. Enrique told a post-match media conference that I'm quite happy with this match and the result is undeserved. The group was, as we expected, very difficult with two of the best teams in the world. We deserved more.
More.
Story. Back-to-back losses. Are you down to earth now or you want to continue handing suspensions to Yudi Alba? Okay. On that note, let's move on. So Spain lost back-to-back games to England and to Croatia, and that takes out their fate from their hands. So the deciding game now is between England and Croatia. Whichever team wins that game tops the group and goes on to play in the United Nations, they're just saying United Nations.
Yeah.
In the Euro Nations, in the Euro Nations finals.
Yes.
And that's they get to play there. Good news for Spain is that regardless of what it is, they are not going to be relegated. But they will not qualify for the finals, which is where they really want to be. So if England loses the game, they get relegated. If England has a score draw, they get relegated. If Croatia ends up in a goalless draw, they get relegated. If they lose the game, they are definitely relegated. Have won this and then gone on to the finals and left England and Croatia to sort out who was going to be relegated or not. But right now they're in the thick of the battle, and I think Luis Enrique is going to be wondering, asking himself a few questions, especially defensively. That defense was all over the place for the.
You will savour. He says, I know this is the first time this has happened, and I know everyone has enjoyed it. It hasn't taken away from what the players and Gareth are trying to do, and hopefully in a few years' time, some of those players will get a similar night for them and for their achievements in the England career. Tonight was great, he continues. A great way to finish off my international career. I thought the lads played brilliant. A great game. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a goal, but it was something I'll remember for a long time.
Look, that puts the whole thing together. It was let's just say it was a perfect night. Fantastic result for England. Good performance from a lot of new faces to the English national team, which is something that over the years they have suffered a dearth of. And it's interesting that Gareth Southgate is going through to teams in the Premier League that ordinarily would not have been looked at by other coaches in terms of calling up players. You get players from Bournemouth, Southampton, who nobody would like, how dare you invite people like that to the national team? Are you kidding me? You know, so that's good. And it's good for the team because these are people who have a hunger that perhaps previous selections made by coaches did lacked. You know, and that cascades is that you have. And then you have them going far afield. Jadon Sancho playing in Germany, bringing them in. It's not something that you generally associate with the English national team. So that's a lot of good things. Then we talk about the way the farewell was organized. He came in on the 58th minute or so. Fantastic standing ovation. Good performance. Those who thought this through saw it through. And I think it lays down a good marker for the future. All in all, that story of when Rooney's relationship with the English national team ends on a very bright note.
On Central African time. Thank you very much for that time.
Okay, interesting. Well, Cruz says, I beg, when are we having a Nigerian Grand Prix?
No, it's already in the works.
Do you have road?
No. Wait, they have a place that they built in Benin that is track, quite. Yes. There's a track in Benin.
Says, okay.
Tony Coker sent in this one. So Roger is a goal, and I'm tipping him to do us proud. Hamilton was spot on. Hamilton was spot on. Only that many misunderstood him. He says the gap between the poor and middle class is huge in so many countries, of which India is included. So forget about England win. Any team can win USA now.
But only from Coca, the gap in America, also in California specifically, of homeless people is a lot.
Yes, it is.
And I'm sure that on the way to Silverstone, before you get to the Silverstone, you will pass a few homeless people on the road. Thank you.
You
Yeah.
Anyways, we've got our next story to get into. So Neymar reveals a plan to act as a mentor for Richarlison. People in the studio, you just need to be up on YouTube. Neymar believes that he can help Everton forward Richarlison as act as a mentor for his fellow Brazilian. The Toffees' £14 million summer signing has been called up to the Brazil squad alongside Neymar following a fine run of form in the Premier League. So Neymar said, he has this trick to solve matches, to play well in great matches as he's doing now for Everton. I expect him to grow up and to keep developing his career. I hope I can help him to achieve his goals and help inside the pitch and even outside the pitch as a friend, as a colleague. I think silently he also said as a mentor.
Look, Richarlison, do not take fashion advice from this guy. Do not take any off-the-field advice from him. And then do not learn how to dive like this guy. That's the kind of mentoring this guy's going to be offering you. But look, in spite of all of these concerns that we have, there's no doubt that Neymar has a measure of talent. If he spent more time playing actual football and less of the drama, then we will be able to assess his ability to be the mentor he aspires to be. That said, this is going to be an interesting game for them against Uruguay. It's being played at the Emirates. Strange international color to that game. But it's an opportunity for the Brazilian team to continue its evolution, bringing in the likes of Richarlison, who has been doing well. Funny enough, aside from his run of form with Everton at the moment, he's actually been one of the more productive Brazilian exports that we've had in the world of football. Let's not limit it to just England. He's been consistently performing with Watford, and that was part of why he became an attractive proposition to Everton. He's doing well in the wide areas. I think there's still certain question marks about his ability to play right through the center, and I think that's something that he will probably have to develop into his game to then make him a complete player and a value proposition to the Brazilian team. They come up against a Uruguay team that has quite a bit of talent, maybe players who are on the cusp of phasing out in their
Call it
careers.
what it is.
So you have a lot of youth and potential in Brazil added to their quality and reputation against a team that has a measure of sunsetting players. So that offers a good mix, and it's a good test for both teams going into this.
All right, so Lagos, we'll be taking a break. We'll be back to continue some of the stories and actually just take your messages here on the locker room on Smooth 98.1.
I like that. This guy said name and mentor yourself. I beg. It's like your 3-year-old telling you that I want to babysit the 1-year-old. All of you are babies. Just sit in the corner. I said Neymar trying to mentor someone. It's like a 3-year-old telling you, Mommy, let me babysit the 1-year-old. Everybody is a baby.
How do you feel when you find somebody putting on something that you
I asked him if we should ask people about their palm oil stories. What have you used palm oil for in your life?
I've used it for boil. I had a boil on my elbow. So I used it for boil. Works. So it made it ripe very quickly and then they press it.
Yeah, let's talk about palm oil. People use it for coughs. I just use it for like roasted yam.
Oh yes, I know. I use it for regular yam.
Not do salt.
Yeah, I use it for regular yam.
It's perfect
Yam
for stew.
Palm oil stew is amazing with dried fish. It is
and crayfish.
Yeah,
it is the road.
Your local rice and palm oil. I mean,
Oh, that's okay. That's a lovely one. That's a sweet one.
Yeah.
Who is that?
I don't know.
That's the next thing I'm saying is her makeup.
That's a lot of makeup.
Yeah.
Who's having a lot of makeup?
Oh, yeah. And I know I met her. Why is she painted like this now?
She's a pastor babe now.
That's my point. My point is, why is the first thing I'm seeing your makeup?
Jesus.
That's a lot.
Like
She's a pretty
lot.
woman.
Yeah, that's the thing. She's a very fine woman normally. So I
haven't you seen that
Tolu Ijogu. Yes, I think that's her name.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
They had already done the makeup by the time it was time to shoot. So she was probably too late for her to wipe it.
This was probably the person's first game.
Yes, I was like, I want to make that happens.
I didn't see that people pastor their bears cleavage in YouTube. There's a female pastor. She bears her cleavage on YouTube.
That's how.
I'm going to research that.
That's
That's
how.
what she's known for. And she shakes it.
I'm
Believe her, she has breasts. Is it your cleavage?
I must.
Is
I must.
getting
Is it
your
your
attention.
cleavage?
Look. I want to receive the word. Excuse me.
Yes, yeah.
People are not well.
With
There's
clarity.
people like you she's preaching to.
I considered at one point in my life opening church. Yeah, laughing. I would have made so much money. No, because I know the power of persuasion that I have.
It's mad.
We're in.
Sit It is about sports on the locker room here on Smooth 98.1 with Folu and myself, Valentine, and Brutalistics, Uncle Bru Bru, and of course, Tega to the toe. Between that, it seems like a legit Grand Prix.
Obstacle course. That's different. As bumper cars. We've got Rainmaker who sent in this one on WhatsApp.
Yes, Rainmaker says Neymar, mentor. He's like somebody who needs mentor himself. What does he think he knows about the round leather game that he wants to pass to another person?
How to fall.
How to
get
How to
injured.
fall, how to roll,
Yeah.
how to
Fall
fake
with
injury
style.
without injuring yourself.
Yes,
It's
yes.
an important skill
That
set.
is a
How,
skill.
how to injure yourself while pretending to be injured.
There you
Wow.
go. There you go. I like that. It could be a course.
Multiple skill sets.
Mayo Shadari says, Neymar, wow, you people are going in on Neymar today. He says, Neymar, mentoring and diving and body tattooing. I joke. Laughing. While Sharif Oluwaleke Akimbi says, Bafana, like they should go and resort to witchcraft. They'll lose that match. But Gernot should never start Akwe no matter what.
Wait, what did he do to you?
Daniel from Lasso says, "Good morning, guys. Thumbs up to Rooney. He has had a wonderful international career. He deserves a superb farewell. Don't mind those jealous haters."
And Bajumo from Cotonou says this Roger Federer fellow has never had an attitude about him. Still busy playing with his children who grew up with him as their tennis idols. Anyway, more kudos to him. All right, very nice. Yeah, he's a nice guy. While Mr. George says, Neymar for professional advice, crying face. I would rather ask Edmondo of France 1985. He is professional and straightforward with his words. We see. And up on Twitter, Chimabi Victor is back with this one.
He said, "Luis Enrique should stop all this campaign after election. Myself and Tega, we are not interested at all. He should better look for a way to bounce back."
Bounce back real quick. Okay, and I do believe those are all the messages we have for this morning, and thus brings us officially to the end of the locker room for this morning and this week. It has been superb, and we thank all of you for joining us, especially our fantastic analysts, Brutalistics. Just in case we're running another competition, just please figure out how to spell Brutalistics' handle. It's Brutalistics.
Sticks with an X at the end.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Not Bru
Not
Bru,
thick.
not Bro, not Uncle Bru,
Okay.
or Uncle Bruta, or Bruta,
Or
or Bru, or Brune.
See how
Or,
you're
you
giving
know, like,
See how
it's
you
none
give-
of those.
You're giving many
It's
suggestions.
your fault.
Please find Tega up online as is rather consistent at Tega Supreme. And if you're a lady in sport or interested in supporting a lady in sport, you can find her at that as well at LIS International.
Coming up next at the top of the hour, we have a feel-good conversation waiting for you. Remember, that number to call is 0144899981 for Lagos Talks 91.
How come you didn't load on this screen? How come you didn't load on